In the tapestry of life, where every thread holds a story, America in Black and White emerges as a haven for the voices echoing through the heart of our communities. In this podcast, we wade through the rivers of our collective experiences, celebrating the vibrant hues of change brought forth by the whispers of hope and the roars of action. It's more than just a conversation. It's a journey into the heart of our society, illuminated by the light of those daring to dream and do. Join us, and let your voice be the melody that guides us toward a dawn where every color finds its place in the masterpiece of our shared destiny. Together, let's paint a future brimming with the positives that dwell in our minds and the actions that shape our world.
Good evening, and welcome to another powerful episode of America in Black and White tonight. Tonight we're diving into the intersection of technology, leadership, and transformation with a guest who embodies innovation and services. Lee Cage Jr. is not only a veteran, but also a transformational strategist and technology leader whose mission is to connect people, ideas, and organizations through innovation and solutions. For nearly 2 decades, Lee has blended his military background with corporate strategy, guiding nonprofits, healthcare, and government sectors towards success. As Director of Technology and Transformation at BDO USA, he leads initiatives that optimize workflows and embrace data driven transformation. He also the co-founder of Created Automation, a veteran-owned consultancy recognized as a gold smart sheet and bronze INV Gate partner. His entrepreneur spirit earned him a bronze Stevie Award in 2025. Beyond business, Lee shares his insights through his podcast, 15 Minutes with Lee, and his debut book, Technology Alone is Not Transformation, the HR Technologist Guide to True Organizational Change. Tonight, we'll explore his journey as an entrepreneur, speaker, and author, and how his vision is shaping the future of work. Ladies and gentlemen, Lee Cage Jr. Uh, Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
I am excellent, and I'm happy that we finally got to this time, this long-awaited period.
It only took a little bit, but I'm certainly excited to be here and to hang out with you a little bit on a Friday night.
Yes, sir. I definitely appreciate it. Is there anything you'd like to say to the audience before we get into the show?
No, I mean, let's hop in. They're going to get to know me a little bit, and hopefully, I don't scare anybody away.
Well, I want to start with your entrepreneurship and your leadership. Can you tell us what inspired you to blend your military background with corporate strategy?
Filling a void. I mean, obviously, the taxpayers of the United States spend a lot of money training service members, whether it's through security clearances, whether it's on perfecting our discipline, perfecting our ability to see a task through. And that sometimes goes undervalued once we leave service or in tandem with our service for those of us that are, in the reserves or National Guard like myself. That said, I try to immediately put that into practice, and I started a couple of businesses. I've done a few entrepreneurial things over the last few years, but more recently creating curated automation. It was really about solving a problem in the ecosystem and trying my very best to fill a void and doing it with a sense of excellence.
Oh, wow. So, how did your journey lead you to co-founding Curated Automation?
So I've spent quite a bit of time in the Smartsheet ecosystem, or what's lovingly called collaborative work management. I actually took the idea of launching this practice to the organization that I was actually working with full time at the time, and they were not interested in further developing a Smartsheet practice or doing X, Y, and Z. So after noodling a little bit, verifying that I could do it outside of work, me and a buddy, we got together, we looked at a business model and decided to do it with the support of the full-time organization I was with at the time. They recognized that they did not want to do it, but they did not try to prohibit me from taking the idea that I had and trying to put that into place. And very quickly, we gained, awards and notoriety and became a trusted partner as it relates to deploying, implementing, and supporting Smartsheet. So it's been a journey. We're about to hit 3 years, and I'm nervous, but I'm excited about whatever the future holds.
So with that being said, for them actually backing you, how does that work? Is that like a collaboration? How does that work?
A lot of times people think that if they go to their organization, the organization will say no. But if you read the HR policies in many of the cases, it actually says that you cannot have outside employment without letting us know or X, Y, and Z. So I read the policy first, and then I went to them and said, look, the HR policy says that I have to have your permission to do this. Will you support me in doing it? It's non-competitive work to what I do full-time here, leading Workday, implementations, but it does pair really nicely with how my brain works and the problems that I really want to solve in the world. And they were like, yes, do the thing, continue to support what you have here, but we all have 24 hours in the day.
Oh,
And
wow.
what you do with the other 16 outside of what you do here at work, that's your business. But however we can support you, see you be successful, we will certainly do it. And they did, and they stood behind that, which actually kind of became a launching ground. What's not, as public to others, once I left that company as an employee, they actually became my customer with the very business that I had started while I was there working with them.
Oh man, now do you consider that like to be like a real blessed situation?
I consider it to be blessed, but most importantly, when you treat people right, when you do what you say you're going to do, when you show up with the type of like authenticity and abiding by the rules where appropriate, it actually will create things that you maybe didn't even know was possible. I never could have projected while I was an employee there that they would become my customer, and have been for the better half of over 2 years at this point.
Oh, wow. What sets curated automation apart in Smartsheet and IMV Gate solution space?
So Invigate is an asset management, service management solution, and it's a solution that really pairs nicely with Smartsheet, but doesn't compete in the Smartsheet ecosystem or a space. That said, I think what sets us apart is our ability to deliver expert level consulting. I've spent a little bit of background. I've spent 4 years on the active side, HR on the Army. I've spent 13 and a half years now on the Reserves National Guard side, where I drill 1 week in a month, 2 weeks during the summer. But the foundation of my career has been in Workday and ERP technology. And so Smartsheet pairs really nicely because it fills a gap. Asset management and service management pairs really nicely because it fills a gap. All of the things I've done throughout my career have been about trying to fill gaps for organizations. That said, a Workday consultant salary is very different and demands a cost that is very different than Smartsheet or Invigate. Even still, because I've spent so much time in consulting, our Smartsheet customers are not just getting, a person who's working out the back of their van, right? They're getting expert level consulting. So they're getting that at a rate that makes sense for their organizations with a quality that is above par.
So how did it feel to earn the Bronze Stevie Award in 25?
Unrealistic. So, I mean, one of my favorite words is grit, right? I've done my best to work really hard, but even with awards or recognition, it's kind of like, that you're doing the work, but for someone else to validate that work makes sense, that it is worth showing up in the spaces that it's in, that it reaches or has the impact that you're hoping to have, that is sobering. And I walked on the stage and I was thinking the whole time, what the hell am I going to say when I get up here in front of all these people, at the award show? And I just say what I know. And that is less than 1% of all Americans wear the Army uniform. And had it not been for my service, I don't believe I would have earned the discipline, the level of integrity, the ability to stick through stuff that working a full-time job, being a full-time grad student, being a full-time entrepreneur, that all of that requires. So it was very sobering.
Yeah. Wow. So how do you manage to have enough time to do all that? I mean, what is that?
I don't see it, but I'm actually on Emory's campus right now. So class just wrapped up. I am, here with you tonight. I don't think it's about the time. I think it's about the support.
Okay.
I have a phenomenal person in my life that supports me and gives me the amount of rope I need to go be destructive in the world with the right amount of grace. And that allows me to follow my passions while also like balancing things. And in some cases, it's not even about balance. It's like the integration. So I'm in class today. I'll go back to the hotel tonight and knock out some stuff for work on Monday so that I can focus on Monday's stuff, focusing on stuff that's due on Wednesday and Thursday. It's about integrating it in and finding a place for it.
Oh, wow. What challenges did you face building a veteran-owned consultancy?
And I think I mentioned this earlier, but one of the top questions I've been asked, even on the employee side, is like, 1, have you been deployed? 2, do you have PTSD? 3, is everybody on your team military? If they are, are they going to be deployed tomorrow? So it's on one side, people can be highly patriotic and really love veterans. On the other side, that patriotism and their love for us in some cases can be challenging because there's a perception around who we are, what we do. The other challenge is that people think like we're all like kicking in doors, rucksacks on, M16 assault rifle in hand, and we're just out there in the desert. They don't realize that every service member, regardless of the branch, Army specifically, we all have MOSs. We have specialty jobs that we do, that we've gone to school for, that we've trained for, that we do the thing. And that's what we do on the military side, not, sleeping in a rucksack and in the dirt in all cases. That said, growing this business and talking to customers, they've asked questions like, hey, what does this mean to work with you all? Super excited to do it, but tell us more about what it means. And then we've had other customers that are like, we totally get it. So I think that's just a part of it. But we've had tons of support as well. And I know you asked about challenges, but some of the support has been Tennessee is a very veteran-friendly state. There's a lot of things in place for us. Obviously, we have one of the largest military bases, in the country, so that helps. But Tennessee overall has been extremely kind in some of the things that they put in place to help veterans.
So, how do you balance innovation with operational discipline?
Okay, so here's the deal. When it comes to innovating, and this is my perception, but when it comes to innovating, you need room to fail. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to be the person that innovates as well as the person that creates stability within the organization. So in some cases, I've tried to balance it by deciding which role I'm going to play on that project or which role I need to play on that project. If a customer has something where it's like, oh yeah, this is what we want, we know exactly what we want, that's cool. That's operational stability. That's working within the guardrails. But in some cases, a customer can say, we want you to create this for us and talk us through the strategy and help us with our technology and help us with X, Y, and Z. You have creative freedom within the system to do it. That's when you get to innovate. That's when you say, there are no restrictions here. The world is our oyster. Let's conquer it.
Mm. So how often do you get that opportunity to be about as free in doing that work from the innovation perspective with your clients? Does that happen often?
More times than you might think. I mean, today I was on a call with a Workday customer, full time job, right? I was on a call with a Workday customer who said, like, we know what we think we want, but we don't know what we don't know.
Mm,
That's my opportunity to put on my hat to say, that's cool. Treat this like Allstate. You're in good hands. Okay. And as a result of that, we get to have fun and look at business processes and notifications and operational excellence and tie those things back to the project's visioning statements and guiding principles, while also saying we can do some cool shit.
mhm,
So that part for me is like exciting, because most people, they log into the HRS system, or they log into, whether it's Workday, ADP, Kronos, whatever the system is, they have no clue that somebody was behind the scenes with a whiteboard, right, nerding out and saying, this is how this is going to work, and this is the process, and oh, when we get here, it's going to send a notification. That is a form of art.
mhm,
Obviously, the system has parameters,
mhm,
but that's the place where I get to be the painter and throw a bunch of things on the wall and say, what sticks?
mhm. So what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs in the tech space?
um, Flexible people can never get bent out of shape. My sister, Nikisha Hicks, says that. That's number one. Number two, if you have a bright idea, don't validate it with your friends.
Mm, okay, why not?
Okay. Number one, your friends tend to believe what you have going on is the very best thing.
Right,
They love you. They
right,
support you. They care about you. I'm going to do something here, get this light back on.
right.
One of the qualms of being live, right? So they love you. They care about you. They want you to succeed. They think you walk on water. Okay. As a result, they're saying, yes, girl, go out there. You can, that's great. Right. What I do is when I tend to have what I think is a bright idea, I actually talk to someone who's in the industry, someone I trust. And then I talk to someone who I think would buy that service and ask them if the use case actually makes sense to them. And what I found is, in some cases where I've had very bright ideas, but it took me too long to get to the punchline,
Mhm.
people are like, I don't want to buy that. I don't even understand what it does. In that case, I either go back and perfect the pitch statement
Uh,
or rethink the value of what it is that I'm attempting to offer them and why.
mhm.
Uh,
That's
the,
really cool.
the third thing I would say to an aspiring entrepreneur is your nights will be long. So make sure you have a support system that understands that your nights will be long.
Mm,
If bae, boo, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever it is, doesn't understand that sometimes you need to be focused on the thing that you are trying to create and less focused on being outside. I think that's what they call it, being outside. I can't be outside. I need to be inside, thinking, writing, figuring out, bouncing ideas off of myself and those potential buyers of the thing that I want to sell.
mhm.
Those are the kind of three things I would say.
So, how do you define transformational leadership in today's business climate?
So everybody wants to know what's in it for them. Everybody wants to know what's in it for them. Everybody has an ask.
Mhm,
I think it was Brene Brown that says clear as kind, right? Transformational leadership to me means clearly identifying what's in it for me, but also being passionate about what's in it for you.
okay,
If you ask anyone that's ever worked for me, full time or at on the entrepreneur side, I always ask them, "What is it that you want from this?"
mhm,
And I always tell them, if there's a point here at this company, on this team, where you feel like you've reached whatever point of like, hey, I'm ready for something else, including if that's my job, let me know. One of the things on the Army side that we do is we are always training our replacement, because we figured out that if I can train my replacement, the faster I can train my replacement, the faster opportunity I have to do something else and to stop doing these tasks that I really don't know that I'd like to do that often. On the civilian side, we tend to fear that. We think that, oh, training somebody to do my job is them trying to take it. If you want this job, child, you can have it. you can have it. So I'm like, if that's the case, it's all yours. Here goes the task, the responsibility, the P&L, the conferences, the late nights, the weekend. You can have it all. The faster I can train somebody else. So that to me is transformational leadership. I want to transform someone into the person or the role or the identity or the job that they want to be in. And if I can lead them, support them, be a champion for their success, that is what I want to do.
Mm. So what role does resilience play in entrepreneurship?
The same role that grit plays. If you think that you're going to go out there with this phenomenal idea and everybody's going to get on board and you're going to make all of these sales and you're going to have all of these opportunities, it doesn't work that way. As an entrepreneur, right? So let me share it this way. On the full-time side, I have a marketing team. I have business development folks. I have a full technical team. I have someone who is triaging the this before it becomes the that. On the entrepreneur side, you are the marketer. You're the business development. You're the LinkedIn master. You're the person taking the calls. You're the problem solver. There's a phrase that the buck stops here. You are the buck. Okay. And so for some people, they like the part of the thing that they want to do, but they don't understand the operational and infrastructure side of the thing that they want to do. That's where resilience comes in. When you are faced, a great example, when I first launched my business, I did not know how to work WordPress. Okay.
Oh, Lord, I'm still having issues with that.
So I understand people. Finally, I said, you know what? If I have to do this, just forget it. Just forget it. Just hang the whole thing up.
Right.
I realized, wait a minute. Who am I to think that something that is an entire profession should just come easy to me?
Okay.
So if I'm not willing to put in the work to learn how to do this thing, I'm degrading the profession of people who spend their whole lives being software engineers and coding in WordPress.
Oh, wow. That's a good way of looking at that. I like that.
So I spent some nights. I got on YouTube. I got on Udemy. I phoned a friend. I cussed at the computer because that's just how that works. Dude, I deleted. I cannot make this. I deleted my entire website.
Oh, wow.
Backups, and they're playing around. And afterwards, after I figured out how to, resolve this issue, I realized, man, that was a cool lesson to learn. That's the resilient part.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now I know that button that says just click here to refresh. That ain't what that means. Refresh will have your whole stuff wiped out. Okay.
Refresh is refresh for real.
Refreshed. You will be refreshed. Okay. It should say don't click this red button, but that's not what it says. So I learned. Now, when I'm talking to other entrepreneurs or when I'm talking to other business owners who are running small shops, I can lead them. Hey, by the way, I learned a $15,000 lesson. Don't hit that button.
So how do you measure success beyond financial metrics?
I actually very rarely measure success by financial. I mean, I'll answer it in two ways. On the military side, you don't join the Army because you want to be rich, but you can be very successful and have honor and integrity and create relationships that last your entire lifetime with people that you never would have been friends with unless that environment created it. That to me is success. The other thing about success, that at least for me from a measurement perspective, is are my yearnings being met? And I yearn to love and be loved. I yearn to understand people. As a kid, I wanted to be a cultural anthropologist. My mom said, you'll be so happy, but you'll be poor. So instead, I moved into HR. And now I'm committed myself to being a digital technology anthropologist and understanding how change and technology actually impact the way of work and how people experience work and things. But that's how I view success. Like, do I feel good at night when I go to bed? Is my conscience clear? Did I help somebody? Was I kinder to people than that maybe were not kind to me? Maybe they were a little jacked. I don't know if I can say that on your show, but maybe they were. I had a person. I was at Workday Rising in September of this year in San Francisco, and we got through talking. And I said, hey, have a blessed day. And what she heard, face got all scrunched up. What she heard was "bless your heart." What I actually said was "have a blessed day." Her face got scrunched up. We had a little back and forth, and I said, she wasn't kind in that moment. And my response could have matched her energy, and I would have been justified. Mm-hmm. But I took a little bit more time to explain. No, what I actually said was "have a blessed day." And I actually want you to have a blessed day. I want your day to be as good as you want it to be. Mm-hmm. That's success to me. Like, I felt good afterwards. I went to bed and day was good, and mama got what she needed.
So with these, with the potential clients that you have out there that are watching this show tonight, I mean, tell them, what would they be getting from your company, and what can you provide for them?
I would say, what can they get from me? I'm an experience all by myself.
Oh, okay.
So here's the deal. Whether it's, and I can't speak for all BDO, so that's my disclaimer. BDO is a phenomenal organization, 5th largest accounting firm in the world. I'm one of the founding members of the Workday practice. Curated is, one of the top Smartsheet partners. We're a gold, Smartsheet partner. But all of those things, I would say, you're going to get a authentic, genuine, I give a consultant because I care. And what I do is try to spend my time doing the hard work to speak from a point of authority, but also because I'm genuinely curious about things. When a client says, "Oh no, that's not the dispositions we like for recruiting," or "Oh, our business processes are tied to blah, blah, blah," I'm out there Googling, researching, finding the case report, getting on SHRM's website, looking at SOX compliance, looking at the Service Contract Act, reading the Service Contract Act, going through the RFP, going through the DIR. That stuff gives me joy because it's like solving a problem or a puzzle. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to figure out how to take all these puzzle pieces of something and create an experience for them. Most of my customers across my entire career are my friends after our project goes live. Now, we can't be friends during the project. Okay, we be work friends during the project. But after the project, once they see the value, most of them come back and say, "I see why you said what you said," or "We really should have listened to you on this, but we were so tied to the way we wanted it that we couldn't see what was around the corner and actually take the advice that you were giving."
Oh, wow. So let's move over to technology and transformation. Let's go a little bit deeper into that.
Yeah.
What excites you most about Workday implementation?
The customers, okay, and the companies. I have been on an enormous amount of implementations in my almost 12 years in the Workday ecosystem, from Church & Dwight, which owns Gain, Waterpik, Trojan, to VSP, to North Shore Hospital in Chicago, to Nissan North America, to Petco, to Grossmont Community College, to WashU in St. Louis, to nonprofits like Goodwill Industries of Middle Tennessee, to you name it. I've been on an enormous amount of projects across industries. VHC, Virginia Health Systems, phenomenal hospital, by the way, in the DC area. And I've seen how these organizations work behind the scenes. There's one thing to support something where you're like, oh, I just have this piece. But when you're on a Workday implementation, especially when there's HCM and financials together, you get the full picture of how they operate from a human capital perspective and the financials that are informing the business that guides every decision that they make and why. So that to me is like, I don't know, not one of the best, but it's like, oh my gosh, this very big organization that has this super, incredible mission or vision or value or providing this service out to the world. I'm getting to see behind the scenes of how they're actually serving people systematically.
So how do Smartsheet and was it Navigate?
Yeah.
How do they empower organizations to streamline processes?
So I'll put it this way. Most people call or think of Smartsheet as like Excel on steroids. But Excel doesn't have business processes, notifications, AI. It doesn't have any of those things in there. I think Smartsheet is like one of the most flexible solutions, systems I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of systems. I mean, I sit on Forbes Technology Council. Okay. I'm seeing systems for systems for systems for systems. I am seeing posts from my peers on Forbes Tech Council who are talking about their systems and how it's impacting the world, et cetera. I've not seen very many systems that are as flexible as Smartsheet is, particularly because it allows the user to create the experience that they want tied to business processes, notifications, and dashboards. Okay. Robert Smith and from Vista Partners and BlackRock purchased Smartsheet. Smartsheet went from private to public company and back to private as of January this year for just over $1 billion. Okay. Now, I don't know Robert Smith personally. He is my fraternity brother. So Robert Smith, if you listening out, hey, hit me up. I got some thoughts. but even with Navigate, when you think about asset management, most people don't know what that is in their everyday life. But when you go to an organization, the computer that they give you, the phone that they give you, the desktop or the monitor, all of those are physical assets of the organization that has a IT component, but it also has a accounting component where accounting has spent money and we need to depreciate those assets year over year. And there's balance sheets and P&L. All of those things tie into every single portion of how that business works. So when employees or team members say, they can just send me another laptop. You went out there, you told these people stuff up, and give you another laptop after you done banged it at the airport and threw it in your bag and plopped it in the backseat of the car, not realizing that for a 1,000-person organization, that asset you have cost $2,000. Now add a couple $100 more for all the licenses and software and all the things that they're putting on it. And then for the time that the IT person has to spend to resend that laptop, the UPS people to drop the laptop off, all of that is asset management and service management components. And the result of having failed systems who don't properly track those things is bad fiscal responsibility, in my opinion.
So, but let me ask you this. This is a follow-up to that because that's interesting what you said about Smartsheet. So, like with you saying Smartsheet being Excel on steroids, what is the exact difference? I mean, like I know that there's a difference.
Yeah.
But I mean, like what actually sets Smartsheet apart? What are those things that it actually does that sets it apart?
I mean, natively in the tool, you have conversations that you're tracking. You actually have, when I trigger this, what does that do? How does that impact the following cells or rows or columns, et cetera? Excel, you can put formulas in Excel, great. Mm-hmm. You can have metrics in Excel, great. But think of, I got it. Toyota and Lexus are owned by the same people.
Yes, they are.
Okay. But one of them is nicer quality. Okay. One of them is going to get you where you really want to be. One of them is going to do the things that you really want. That is the Lexus. You can keep the Toyota, be perfectly fine. It's got a great great experience, but a Lexus has a quieter cabin. The experience of that vehicle is a little bit different than what you might see in the Toyota.
Mhm. So, what trends in digital transformation should leaders be paying attention to?
I mean, everybody's talking about AI, right? Everybody's talking about AI. We people have been AI'd out. People are following more AI influencers than they are their actual friends.
Mhm.
Okay, we realize that. We got you. I understand. That said, that said, following and understanding the models around AI are incredibly important in today's age, but also how um, how that technology is impacting your way of work, right? And I've heard tons of. There's a Princeton, I think it was Princeton, that wrote a book called AI Snake Oil. Okay, two Princeton grads, phenomenal book, highly recommend. But some people are resisting AI because they don't feel like if I just resist it, it really won't be here. I can move on about my life, and the world will go on, and I don't have to do this. But that is not the case.
Right.
It is not the case. It is not the case. Just because you have resisted it doesn't mean that you are not impacted by it. So instead, and maybe just the plug here is take more time to understand it, but how you use that technology as a connector and as an enabler to do other things in your actual real life outside of it.
So, with those people, what would be your recommendation for them as to starting to learn what AI is and how to work with it? What are some of those things that they might need to learn or think about doing?
Yeah. So one, YouTube is free. YouTube is free.
University.
So take a few moments, turn off Law and Order SVU. Okay. Turn off My 600-Pound Life. Turn off Nurse Jackie for a few moments, whatever the show is that you're watching, and instead watch one of the phenomenal videos on what it is and what it's not. Understand what prompting is inside of the tool. Here's the deal. You're based in Atlanta, I think. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. You all have Kroger's here. Okay. Um, did you ever attend the Kroger self-checkout line training? No.
No, I did not.
In the Walmart self-checkout line training?
Experience with it already.
You saw that this tool was going to make your life better.
Mhm.
As a result, when you saw that long line waiting on a human, you opted to go through the technology line. I'm just asking people to opt into the technology line. And though it may seem, fearful or scary early on, if you can embrace that disruption a little bit, at least for now, you'll get more comfortable more and more times as you go through it.
So, how do you approach tailoring solutions for nonprofits versus government clients?
Actually, in more cases than not, nonprofit and government customers tend to be a lot more aligned than traditional commercial companies, primarily because many nonprofits receive local, state, or federal dollars as a way of their operating expenditure. That said, the government does tend to have more requirements as it relates to GovCloud versus commercial cloud, those sorts of things. And in my experience, nonprofit and government actually tends to have the best opportunity for optimization and true transformation.
Hmm.
And more so because historically, nonprofits have felt like they were priced out of transformation. They've been so focused on their mission that they've cobbled, or in my grandmother's word, they've coupled these things, all these different technologies together to make their operations work, not realizing that they're spending 2 or 3 times as much compared to if they had a single solution that had a unified experience and you're training people on just one thing and yada, yada, yada. So that tends to be some of my favorite conversations, like the organization I was with earlier today. Like, they're in Texas, they're a phenomenal nonprofit organization doing amazing mission field work. I mean, like life changing life and death work. But they have 2 or 3 systems that do this, 2 or 3 systems that do that, and one system that does that, and Bob does this, and Bob's the only one that knows how to do that. Well, Bob's going to leave one day.
Yes,
And when Bob leaves, so does that experience. Having a system and having things in place that succeed the person who's currently occupying the chair is important.
So, what's the biggest misconception about digital transformation?
That there is that there's one way to do it. Everybody, and I've been a consultant for a really long time, and I realize I have a lot of consultancy jargon. I've been, I blame the ecosystem, if you will. But people think that there's more than one way to do this thing. Even when people say best practices, and I sit on the line of not really liking the term, give us your best practice. I can give you leading practice. I can tell you what's working today. But best practice, in my opinion, tends to assume that you have the same dollars, teams, competencies, capabilities, capacity as the organization that you're trying to benchmark on. And you may not.
Wow. So with that being said, and then you're just thinking about, just the concept as a whole. What's the main point, the main thing that people should actually understand of what's actually real instead of misconceiving the point?
The main thing that you have to understand is, what does your organization really need? That requires you to understand and know your people, not just what you want to believe about your people. The second thing that it requires is you to deeply understand your team's ability to digest and to go through change. And that means that you have to partner with those change resistors. My favorite conversations with people are the people who resist change. They tend to be the people I connect most with post-implementation. Those are the people that I befriend first on implementation. I'll just use a name, Laura, who's like, no, I've been here for 25 years. This is the way that we have always did it. Okay, everybody got that person at their job. We always do it this way. This is the way we do it. Okay, that's cool, Laura. But that's not going to be the way that we do it in 6 months, because the organization has decided to implement this system. So I need to know from you, Laura, what is it going to take to make you happy? Now, Laura now feels like I have centered the entire world around her. And in some cases I have, because the moment that I can convince Laura to get on board with this transformation, to deeply understand the system, to understand the why behind why we are even doing this, the revenue savings that the organization is going to experience, the ROI that we're going to get back over the next 2 to 5 years that's going to keep 50 people's jobs, including Laura's. Now I'm speaking Laura's language. Now I've got her on board. And what tends to happen is, after we go live, Laura is sending me a message on LinkedIn talking about, ooh, this is so nice. I can finally get stuff done. I'm leaving at 4:30 instead of leaving at 8 o'clock. Okay. It's dark outside every time you leave, Laura. It's a problem. It's middle summer.
Yep. So how do you ensure technology adoption aligns with people first leadership?
Well, the leader is one problem. The adoption is the other. It is very hard to lead people to a place you've not been. Okay. In some cases, when leaders don't invest enough in the transparent conversations around the why of the transformation, it makes adoption way harder. So it then means that we have to address on one side leadership issues, and then address on the other side the adoption issues. And the adoption for me tends to be a way for us to connect people emotionally to the technology. And again, let's pick on Laura for a second. Laura, look, you're a nurse on a cart at a healthcare organization. Your job is to pass out pills, You have controlled substances in that card. You're working the floor. You have patients leaning and depending on you to live. Laura, you can't spend a lot of time at this computer fiddling with this to get your pay and benefits updated. We need it to be simple, comprehensive, thoughtful, but also meet the organization's need, but also not have you there too much time that you can't go do the thing that you actually really want to do in the world. That's save lives. So we're going to create an experience for Laura that makes it easy for Laura to adopt, but also be grounded in why the organization is spending this type of money to have this particular system.
So what role does data-driven decision-making play in transformation?
Listen, could you imagine, you're in Atlanta, the drive from Atlanta to Nashville is 3.5 hours, 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine getting in your car and your fuel light meter stops working? So you do two things. You do two things. You either are trying to remember how many miles per gallon you have on this thing, or at every exit you pass where you see gas station here, you're thinking, should I be pulling over to get some gas? I don't want to run out. So you stop in every bit of time. Okay. Here's the deal. That's a data source. Poor data leads to poor decisions, and poor decisions lead to financial waste.
Oh, wow.
When people don't have reliable data that they can lean on and to depend on and to guide the decisions of the organization, it makes it incredibly hard to make the right decisions, or to at least make the best decisions with what you have.
Mm-hmm. So when thinking about these decisions, I mean, when you look at this from a broad perspective, are decisions more so for the top portion, or is this just everybody understanding, being on the same page, what this means? Because I think sometimes, a lot of people like to stray out on their own and say, oh, I'm just going to decide to do this.
Yeah. There are what I would call localized decision points, right? People who have design decision authority, at the localized level. Then you have, more operational decisions, more strategic decisions. But when you think about an ERP implementation of Workday, if you think about a large team implementing Smartsheet to run their project and program management, the decisions that are made tied to those projects, or the type of outcomes of those projects, have long-lasting and very financially straining implications. I'll give you a really great example. There was a organization I did some work for some years back who they were on their legacy ERP system. The payroll person had significant access in the system. Too much access in the system. They did not have segregation of duties and roles. And mama was in there, then hired people that did not work there into the system.
Oh my God.
Okay. Years of this foolery. Had somebody looked at the data who understood it, and had it been right, they would have realized, wait a minute, why is John reporting under Sarah? We ain't got no John on Sarah's team. What? Those implications can be far-reaching. And if you don't have the right data, if you don't understand what that looks and feels like, and if you don't have the right consulting team, most of the time people think like, hey, I have this consultant and they think they know everything. One, we don't. I have stopped calling myself an expert.
So I understand that.
I started calling myself a practitioner. Now, and the reason is because how many times have you, I'm sure, you've lived long. Okay, I see a little gray. You've gone to the doctor. They say they have a medical practice, that they're practicing medicine, that after 8 years of school and working on all these people, they still are not an expert.
Exactly. They
still
be
practicing.
Right.
As a result, what I've tried to lean more into in this portion of my career is I may be really great at some things. I know a lot about the leading practices in my particular area of focus, but I'm still practicing just like my customers. I just have more practice. I'm in the NFL and they still at the college level, and that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll get that one day.
That is my hope. Otherwise, I have failed to do my job.
So, how do you see AI shaping the future of organizational change?
It already is. It is embedded in almost every ERP is claiming to have, LLM or normal language model or agentic AI or whatever as a part of their modeling at this point. It's in job applications where AI is looking at the application and auto dispositioning people in some cases, in or out, for the good or for the bad. It's in the socials. It's in recruiting mechanisms like Paradox, which is a phenomenal AI tool that Workday actually just recently purchased. It's a part of your job already. It's a part of social media. It's in your Facebook, your Instagram, your TikTok, your Threads. What is too many of them? It's in all of them. Okay. And so people who are, again, going back on that resistors, you may think you're resisting and you are stopping it from happening. It's already here. So it's already there. It's already a part of change adoption. It's already part of organizational transformation. What's missing, though, in some organizations is what role does it play and what role do I now play? Which is why, and I've done a couple of these talks with Sherm over the last few months, which is why I've been softly pitching that maybe the CHRO should not be the CHRO anymore. Maybe it should be the chief work officer or chief resource officer, because we now have AI agents who are operating as employees. So you have human intelligence and AI, artificial intelligence, working in tandem together. And if it is the CHRO, which is the chief human resource officer, are they really managing just human resources now, or are they now also managing other resources as well?
So, what's the most rewarding project you've led at BDO USA?
There is a phenomenal nonprofit in the San Antonio area that has a incredible mission. In some cases, their team is responding to national disasters faster than the National Guard.
Oh.
They save lives. And their CEO, I'm not saying he walks on water, but I think he could with a pair of cowboy boots to match it. Okay. I can see it. I can envision it. That said, that project, and I've been on that project for a little bit over 2 years at this point, with various optimizations and strategy work and all sorts of things. But that project has been highly rewarding because of the complexity of what they do and the various sectors of work. I mean, they have hurricane response, they have all of these other types of things, but also the people. The people are just exceptional. So, yeah.
So, how do you balance innovation with risk management and tech initiatives?
That's up to the organization to develop or at least say what their risk tolerance is. Some organizations are like, go out there, the world is an oyster, play around. Okay, cool. Some organizations are like, no. We only use Copilot. We only use Claude. We only use Perplexity. We only use X, Y, and Z. So it really depends on the organization's risk tolerance for innovation. Same is true, not just with AI, but with, medical organizations and other organizations that are creating different types of technologies. The organization has to determine how much risk they are willing to absorb. As a result, I've seen a couple of organizations here recently do spin-off organizations to their organization so that they can put those people in a separate LLC and not pierce the corporate veil in case they mess around and somebody want to find out.
Well, well, you know, what you just said is something that that I've actually seen a lot of. I've saw the veil pierced a whole lot.
And which is, and the way to protect that, you know, and I'm not an attorney, so that's my disclaimer, but the way to protect that has been, in some cases, I've seen a particular organization that created a small spinoff of what used to be 15 people in the parent company. They did a small spinoff, put those 15 people in a separate organization, did a funding of that organization, separated those people, and then in the operating agreement of the organization that was created, they said, you can only sell your products and service. We will only sell our products and services to this company.
Wow.
So that if the 15-person company made horrible mistakes and was going to be sued or whatever, it's only up to the insurances and responsibility of that 15-person company, not the 2,000-person company that they came from.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about your speaking and thought leadership.
Yeah.
What inspired you to launch your podcast, 15 Minutes with Lee?
I did not want to be a podcaster. I never dreamed, you know, Little Lee, if you will, never dreamed of like, yeah, can't wait to podcast. That's not how it came about. I was at a company in August of 23 that we'd already gone through one layoff in April of 23. And then in August of 23, they did another round of layoffs. And several of the people that were laid off were my friends. Mm-hmm. I was trying to figure out a way to help them because pretty much no one wanted to put the open to work sign up on LinkedIn. And sometimes when people are laid off, they feel like it's them. And in many cases, it's poor financial management or by the organization, or just that role was not needed anymore. That said, I was trying to figure out how to help. And I said, well, look, why don't we get on LinkedIn? I'm going to come up with some questions. I'll ask you a bunch of questions and we'll just do a thing. And a few of them were like, that sounds real risky. Their risk tolerance was low. Okay. And so I reached out to my sister and I was like, hey, would you mind me interviewing you? She was previously a VP of HR at the Nashville Symphony, does a bunch of leadership coaching. So Nikisha and I were talking. She's like, yes. So she comes on the show. She does the first, kind of inaugural episode, which was really just a LinkedIn Live. And she, her and I were talking, and people are like, hey, you might be onto something. So I did another one. And long story short, it kind of took off from there. So I said, okay, I'll do, 8 or 10 of these, and I'll move on with my regular scheduled program. And so when I got to Workday Rising in September of 23, people were like, oh my gosh, I love your podcast, dude. You have to have me on. And I said, I don't have a podcast. I have a LinkedIn Live thing that I've been doing. I called it 15 Minutes with Lee, but it's not anything formal. I'm wrapping up the last episodes. We're about to be done here. I'm moving on with life. Long story short, what I believe is that people continuing to ask was them saying, hey, this is something you've been called to do, and a way for you to highlight others, and you're doing it from a genuine perspective. Keep doing it. So I let some time go by, and in April of this year, my friend was like, hey, when is the podcast coming back? And I said, you know what, maybe it really is a podcast now. So I put some additional dollars, some capital behind it, and made some different investments, and said, okay, if I'm going to do this, I've got to do it. Long story short, we kicked off this season, and oh my goodness, in June. In August, we had an opportunity to join a syndicated podcast network.
Oh, wow.
In September, which I can't share the name yet until January 1st, but one of the largest credentialing associations in the country, professional credentialing associations in the country, said, hey, we'd like for you to keep your podcast, but we'd like for you to come and host, moderate, and be the face of our podcast that we want to launch. And I said, well, maybe I am all right at this. So that's how it started. It started from trying to help people. And the reward was not dollars and cents. The reward was people being able to also see like, hey, there's space in the world for this. And there's a need to address this particular topic around transformation, technology, and people's story differently, but also not doing it alone. See, normally on a Friday night, I'd be studying. Okay. I only have 15 minutes. That's where I got the 15 minutes from. 15 minutes really. I got 15 minutes to jump in real quick and then jump on out. So that's kind of how it was birthed.
Well, I'll tell you, actually, I've seen a few of your episodes, and I actually like it. I like the concept and everything, and I think the way you do that is I think the concept itself, it stands out because it actually picks, not pick, but it depicts, that is what these people are actually doing, and you do it within that period of time that it makes you want to see, well, what's going to happen in the next 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Thank you. What tends to throw people off is the rapid fire questions. Earlier this year, I took my rapid fire questions and the team converted them to a deck of cards.
Oh, wow.
So now I'm like doing this deck of cards and pulling out these rapid fire questions. They have, 5 or 10 seconds to answer the question. First thing that comes to mind. So one day, with their signature authority, I'll have to release the bloopers. Okay. Because the bloopers are where the real fun has happened on that show. So, yeah.
So how do you prepare to distill complex tech concepts into actionable insights?
How do I prepare to distill? Look, stuff can be what is it? Keep it simple, stupid.
That's our military motto.
I like to keep it simple, stupid. We can go through calculated fields. We can go through all of these things. What is it that you're really trying to get from this? What is it? No, no. What is it that you really want to get from this? If you want to understand the technical components, great. But are you on the HRIS or HRIT or IT side of the house that's responsible for configuring this long term? No. If the answer to that is no, if we don't need to spend a lot of time on that, let's talk about what your dreams are. And I'm going to tell you which one of those can be a reality within the system.
Mm.
That for many of my customers is a very transparent moment. It's like that moment where they're like, okay, well, since you asked, here's my top 10 list. And I said, okay, great. We're going to go through and we're going to swipe left and right on which one of those can be completed within the timeline, within the SOW, and within the capabilities of the system.
So what topics resonate most with your podcast audience?
I think a lot of times when we see people, we think that they've always been where they are. And that's just not the case. A lot of times we see people where, director level, managing director, VP of underwater basket weaving, whatever it is, and we think that they just arrived there. They didn't. They had a journey to get there. And even if you feel like they knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody, they still have had to do the job.
Yes, exactly.
And so what I try to expose in that particular, in the time we have, is who this person is, who they are, what they believe, how they work, and how they got to where they are. And in most of the episodes, what you'll find is, with the exception of one or two, these people are highly humble. And they too, for some of them, are still trying to figure out how they got to where they are.
Oh, wow.
Because when you're doing the work and you're in the midst of the storm and you're just doing the thing, you're taking the promotion. That's great. But you're still just trucking along. And then you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, 5 years ago, I was blah, blah, blah. Now I'm X, Y, and Z. So there's some humbleness that is required from that, but that's really a central focus. Now the next podcast that I'm doing with that credentialing organization is heavily focused on technical, heavily focused on HRS, HRIT, ERP, digital transformation, more into the weeds of those things and less on the person themselves as a singular item.
How do you keep your speaking engagements engaging and relatable?
I mean, you see this? This space is gonna come in there with a bunch of stuff. Okay, I'm coming in there with a bunch of stuff. Number one, I like to have fun. Okay, I like to have fun. I've been in the Army now 17 and a half years. Life is short. Nothing is promised. Okay, nothing is promised no matter how much planning you do. So when I am there hanging out, speaking, doing the things, one, I'm bringing my authentic self, the same self that you'll see walking in the airport, in class here at Emory, on site with the customer. Obviously, there's sometimes a different professional presence that is required, but that's the same person that you're going to see. So when I am on the stage or I'm talking about technology as a connector or embracing disruption, I mean, one of the topics I did and for Disrupt HR Nashville in September, I titled it, "Are You the Spare Tire?"
Oh, okay. Well, tell us about that.
Okay, look, here and hear me out. Okay? Hear me out. Most people, when you hear "Are you the spare tire?" you think, "I ain't no spare tire. I ain't never been nobody's spare." Okay, and you know that angle. You talk about how you need to be front and center, and you think spare tire, you think mistress. Okay, you think I'm backup plan. When I see spare tire, I think you are safety. I think you are the last resort. When I see spare tire, I think I planned for an emergency, and as a result of planning for that emergency, on the possibility of an emergency, I have a spare tire. When I think spare tire, I'm thinking every function of the car has a responsibility. The engine, it roars. The doors have to open. The steering wheel has to be connected to the axle in order to steer. The brakes have to have pads that are connected to the pedal. That when you push it, it then engages and it stops the car. Those are the things that you see. Those cosmetic things. Oh, look at the design of the car. Ooh, that she got all the stuff. Okay, we got rims, 22-inch rims. That's fine, but the spare tire is what saves you in an emergency. And for HR folks and for some of the back office folks, I think that they are some of the best spare tires we can ever have. Because when the organization needs them the most, when you're on the side of the road and you don't hit one of them potholes here off of 75, okay, what do? You pull out that spare tire and it goes into place. Now, there's some requirements with that spare. You still have to make sure it's aired up, that it's getting the attention that it needs, that it's that you're pulling it out, that everything is in there and it's secured. Make sure that it can still grow with the business. And that's the angle that I took with the topic. Are you the spare tire?
So, what's the most memorable feedback you've received from a speaking event?
I don't know that I can say it on this, but I'll phrase it. I was in Michigan SHRM, and after the session, there was a young lady that walked up and she said, "Hey, I was planning on quitting my job." Okay? She said, "I was finna quit my job. These people, I was finna quit that job."
Gotcha.
She said, "I heard we was getting AI stuff." She said, "I was over there trying to figure out how to use that AI to update my resume because I was going to quit that job." She said, "But now I'm thinking, how do I leverage it as a enabler for me to do my work, for me to help transform the business? Maybe they aren't trying to replace me. Maybe they're trying to figure out how to offload some of the things that were keeping me bound so that I can do more thoughtful work within the organization, the work that only a human can do. But yeah, she said, I was going to quit that job.
Wow.
If you do, don't blame it on me.
So, how do you use storytelling to connect with audiences?
There's an image that I typically show when I right before I do a speaking engagement, and it's this image of a brain, and it has all these wires. Okay, it's like wires: green, yellow, red, black, and I show that up, and I normally go up with a Ziploc bag or in a case of a box or bag full of physical wires, and I basically tell people this is how my brain is wired. It's all in here this way. Side note, TSA really doesn't like when you travel with a bunch of wires.
That is true.
Really don't like when you go in there with red, yellow, blue, green, black wires. They do not like it. I've had a few moments. So from an engagement perspective, instantly people are like, why the hell does he have all these wires up here? What is he going to do with the wires? What's going on with this? And so I began to, as we weave through the conversation and helping them understand how my brain is wired, helps them better understand how they are wired, how the leaders in their organization are wired. What's important to finance, this blue wire, is not what's important to HR, this yellow wire necessarily. It may not be what's important to the caseworker that's on the street providing care to a person. They don't care about none of this stuff. They care, is my invoice going to be approved, and is my expense report going to be back to me on a timely manner? Mm-hmm. That wiring of how me displaying my brain is also the complexity of an organization and how an organization is wired as well.
So what role does mentorship play in your speaking career?
Now, I have a love-hate relationship with this. Okay. One of the best people in the world that I've been mentored by, her name is Kim White. Okay. She used to be the CHRO for Corrections Corporation of America, which is now called CoreCivic, Presidential Citation Award, blah, blah, blah. I mean, she spent a lot of time at the Bureau of Prisons, then went to private prison companies, so forth and so on. I used to jokingly tell people that I went to prison because I've been to a few of the facilities, and I say, no, I worked there. But so it's like, this ain't Orange is the New Black. But no, so here's the deal. And the reason I share that is because I reached out to her originally in 2014. I did not get an opportunity to work for her until 2016. When I went to work for her and with her, I had to be a good steward of what being mentored mean, not just me mentoring others. A lot of times people underestimate what it means to be mentored. It doesn't mean that person tells you what you want to hear. It doesn't mean that everything works exactly how you want. It doesn't mean that in all cases they will put their name at risk for you. It means that they will help coach and guide you through, and also understanding the difference between a mentor, a coach, and a sponsor. Last but not least, I think for me, like, I love mentoring people. I love spending time with people. I get a lot of joy out of that. But just don't waste my time, because I only got 15 minutes. Okay, I only got 15 minutes. I got 15 minutes. We got to get in here.
We got to get out.
And we got to get out.
So how do you adapt your message for different industries?
Oh, that's my favorite. I research. I'm a nerd. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I will see something on a TV show or in a Wall Street Journal or Forbes or whatever, and I see something. Now I'm clicking in. It's been 2 hours later, and my spouse comes downstairs. And it's like, why the TV off? You're supposed to be watching TV and relaxing. Well, I read this little article, and now I'm 18 articles in.
Yep.
I love to research. As a result, when I think about different industries or what's most important to customers, I I have worked at healthcare. I have worked for a large hospital. I have done a few other things, but I'm not an expert in every one of my customers' industries. But I take the time to at least understand the industry and show a sign of respect to what that industry does and to what they do and the complexities around it, which kind of goes back to that WordPress thing.
Mm-hmm.
If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Oh, oh man. Look, I'm, that I have to again. I'm still trying to fathom that because I sit there and
Yeah.
I actually still been working. There's a website that I started working on, and it's like I'm like, damn it, forget this.
Just forget it. Know the whole side of it. Just don't.
I'm like, look, I'm on the phone. Hey, I need you to fix this for me. Give them the access. Fix that.
And there's something to that as well, right? There is a phrase I heard some time back, but are you the who? Are you the who that should be doing that? And if you're not the who, don't do it.
Well, actually, see, that's just the thing. See, I'm now trying to grow the team. I'm actually pretty much wearing too many hats. I'm wearing too many hats. Too many.
Okay.
Well, let's move over to your author and your writing journey because being so multifaceted, I think this is what makes you the great individual that you are and the great leader that you are about to become. As to blowing
say a
up
word, don't speak it over my life. Go say it twice.
You're about to do the thing, and so I want you, if you can tell us what motivated you to write Technology Alone Is Not Transformation.
It's actually it's the third book I've written. The first book that I had published. I am a nerd. That's my full disclaimer. People think just because you spend more money, you are transformed. It's the same thing when, I'm going to get me, and I'm not going to say the gym name. I'm going to get me the gym membership to such and such gym. Why? When you want Planet Fitness? Planet Fitness could have seen you see the transformation that you wanted. More lights and illuminated and blah, blah, blahs are not going to get you the transformation you want if you can't do the work with what you have. The other thing that I wanted to showcase in the book was great use cases and case studies around successful organizations that did see the transformation and why. That was, guiding principles and visions and leadership that really understood. And I mean, Carter is phenomenal. If you ever want to nerd out on change management practices, obviously Adhikar is phenomenal as well. But there was a method. It wasn't just a bunch of things noodled together. There's a science to how people see transformation, see how technology impacts their life, which is why I have dedicated myself to really focus in on technology and on the anthropology of technology. Like that is my dream. Now, I told you I'm currently at Emory right now. I'm going through one of, there's only 2 programs like it in the country, but it's a veteran-only master's in business. Everybody in my cohort, all veterans, 42 of us in this classroom. We're in the second cohort that Emory's ever had. But I say that to say, after this, I've applied to doctoral programs. I want to focus my career on what I'm already doing. Technology alone is not transformation, but what is? Mm-hmm. And helping people understand the emotional ties, the fear. Okay, people be shook. Yeah, shook when they say, oh, this software is coming or this thing is coming. Because they don't understand it. They don't understand what it means for them. They think that they're being left behind. That's it. My grandmother, I won't tell her age because I'd like for her to still be my grandmother after this. Okay. Retired some years back from, she worked in automation and worked with robots and yada, 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 right? She retired some years back for a bit, she didn't, she was retired. She did church stuff and hung out, went to the Y or something. Okay. Last year, she said, you know what? I've always wanted to learn piano. She's so I hired a trainer. She's doing chord progressions. What's a diminished chord and a major and a minor, so forth and so on. That said, people, because of the fear, they think that they can't still learn because of their age, or they think that they're being replaced because of blah, blah, blah. But if they could embrace it in a safe space, there's almost nothing. There's nothing more powerful than a changed mind. If we can get people to change their mind about how they see something, we can get them to adopt it.
I agree. What key messages do you want HR leaders to take from your book?
Time doesn't stop just because you want it to pause. If you don't optimize, if you don't move with the speed of the technology that is around you, people will break up with you. They will divorce your team. They will not return your text messages and go someplace else that are doing the thing. So you have a few groups of people. You have the people that don't want the change. They'll stay there forever. Okay? If HR leader, embrace. Now in the Army, we have a phrase I can't say on here, but we say embrace the suck. Okay? There's an Army phrase for this, so I'm not saying nothing bad, but that's an Army phrase. True thing. Embrace the transformation. Embrace the change. Okay? Get out there and figure out where you fit, because you can write all the policies in the world. If XYZ company is over there doing it and they're doing cool innovation and they have an innovation lab and they're doing blah, 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 the people who are interested in it, they're going to go over there and they're going to take their innovation. They're going to take their big ideas. They're going to take the revenue and growth with them when they leave. They won't remember you. They'll see you at the fair. They won't even know your name. Okay, you know when you break up with somebody, you don't, what was their name? They know what was their name to you. Okay, you don't want that. You do not want that. Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want
that. How did your military and corporate experience shape your writing?
A lot of late nights, but a lot of reflection and trying to add balance. I think we all have a point of bias based off of our experience. I think some things are easier because I've been in them for so long. Now, if you ask my managerial finance professor here, he'll tell you I'm struggling, okay? Struggling. I struggled the first few weeks in the class because it wasn't something that I knew. I had to embrace what it was and what it meant and how I apply it and how I relate to it and why. But for JB, it's easy. It's easy for him because it's what he's done for 50 years or however long he's been teaching. I'm just making it 50. I don't want to age the man. But that said, it requires some self-reflection, but also acknowledging my own biases, that the way that I may have seen certain situations throughout implementations may have been a little different. So as a result, remember I told you, find somebody who's in that industry?
Yes.
My book was edited not just by an editor, but by someone who does change and transformation for a living.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Firsthand.
I shopped chapters of my book to past customers. Say, you remember it this way? I never used their name. But yeah, I said, hey, would you mind reading through this, 2 chapters and tell me what you thought of this and give me feedback on X, Y, Z? Is this a true account for how transformation happened in your organization? And as a result of that, it became more balanced in what I was putting out.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what was the biggest challenge in writing your debut book?
Whenever you write something, and I'm just going to be very honest and vulnerable here, it's out there forever. Okay? you can never take it back. And people, even when you don't ask for it, they have their own perspectives as well. So it means that you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable and comfortable with people saying, hey, I agree 100% with this, or I don't agree with this at all. And what I learned after I got over the hump, I'm used to being on stage. And I thought, when I say something in a podcast or in a work stream meeting, I can't take that back either. So what is the difference? I might as well say what I want to say in this writing because I'm saying it verbally in these workshops and put it out there. And if people find good use out of it, my hope is that I'll say this here. J.B. Curtis, who is a professor of finance at Emory University, he uses this phrase, and I love this phrase. He says, look, all models are wrong. Some of them are useful. More and more, I have been more comfortable with saying, look, maybe my perspective or my philosophy isn't perfect. I just hope that it's useful.
Wow. How do you see your book influencing organizational change?
Well, if they read it, I think what they'll find is themes across different change philosophies or methodologies. And I've taken the parts of it that I have found most useful, paired with the types of implementations that I've done, paired with the success rates and some cases, not great success rates. This is why. So I think it offers a balanced perspective around what could be good, what could be useful, and the rest is for them to apply. Again, this also assumes that they have a similar or like structure as the organizations who were implemented.
So what advice would you give to aspiring authors in the business tech space?
It's the same I would give to any. Just write it. Just write it. The worst thing that people can say is, this was shit. But guess what? And I'll tell you what my friend said. Yeah, they can say this was shit, but that's after they read it and bought it. The worst thing they can say is, this was a horrible waste of my time. I didn't get anything out of this. Well, that's a perspective. And it's a perspective that I respect and I appreciate. Mm-hmm. I do not want people around me who solely agree with me. I am not interested in that. As a matter of fact, my mom used to say, if you're the sharpest knife in the drawer, get in a new drawer.
Yep. I agree with that 500%.
You go out there, you read my book, and you say, you know what? All I got was one thing. Congratulations. I gave you that. Go forth, be great. If you don't get anything, call me and I'll send you your $19.99 back. Cash App, Zelle, Venmo, whatever. Makes perfect sense. Okay. And then I'd like to talk to you about what you didn't get and what you were hoping to get out of it. And maybe we do one together. That's a resolution.
Well, so with that being said, tell us about your great news, your new situation here, the new person that's in your life.
I will say this. Favor is not fair. Mm-hmm. And I've been this year has been a year. Mm-hmm. Okay. I would say of 90% wins, but some very, 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 very bad lows. Last year, this time we were pregnant, and it was not a successful pregnancy. January, we went through a round of surrogacy. April, we went through a round of surrogacy. July, we went through a round of surrogacy. After that, I said, "Ooh, child, I'm tired. This is enough." okay, this is enough. This is enough. I don't know what to do. This is hot. Okay,
Right.
sound. I'm gonna have to be on the street. Okay, doing something strange for change. No, I'm joking. But so it was a lot, and but after some endurance and patience, which is a virtue, at least that's what they say, we welcomed our daughter, Jasper Celine, on November 21st. So she is 14 days old.
Oh, wow.
I have not slept 15 days.
Okay. Get used to it.
Mama has got a set of lungs. I feel like she's going to be an opera because the way that she can scream, okay, scream, and it transcends all walls and music that's playing. You hear it all through the house. But when she looks up at you and she's laughing, and you realize that you are responsible for this little life, and more so, the legacy that comes with that, the ability to shape the world that comes with that, shape the world through her, through that person. That, I mean, I'm married to an accountant. Okay. I said, babe, we have to look at the future present value and the net present value of all the great work.
Oh my God.
That's what it's going to do. Okay. We should. So I've been working. We have to lever and unlever the beta to get to figure out. I mean, I'm joking, but like we are surrounded by great humans around us. Both sides of our family have just, and this is, by the way, this is the first grandchild on either side.
Oh, wow.
So
she is going to be spoiled rotten.
I have a 31-year-old sister who's obviously a bit younger than me. I said, hey, look, you got to get on the ball, okay? Because right now, little Jasper, she's getting all the Christmas stuff. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we're super excited, though.
Oh, man, I'll tell you, I am also happy for you guys. And, you know, these are one of those, these are situations, shall I say, that, you know, I wish we could have stories like this all the time, because these are the stories, you know, when you think about, especially become a new parent, that in itself, oh my God, you know, the experience is something that starts off like, oh my God, this is killing me. But as she gets older, things change, but you know, things start to change as well, and they get a little bit easier and they get a little bit better. And you guys are actually in for a wonderful, wonderful ride. And I just want to say congratulations to you guys again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to all of the moments along the way, but I am most looking forward to getting a chance to be her friend. There was a point in my life where my mom still calls me father, son, because she said I act like I'm her daddy and I'm going to tell her what to do because I try to be everybody's boss. I can't confirm or deny that, but my mother is my friend. You know, I call her. I'm like, let me tell you, you know, my grandmother is my friend. Okay, that is something I'm looking forward to, where I can hang out, not too freely. We ain't be doing no bunch of hanging out, but spend time and have wonderful moments in life with her and who I call my boss, my life boss. Okay, I'm looking forward to that. So,
well, I'm stamping this show because you guys are the third couple or family that's been here on the show. And each experience has been wonderful. The first, they had twins. The second was a single parent. And you guys, you know, have your daughter. And that is really, really a great moment, not just, well, for me, but I should say also for the audience, because people need to know, hey, you're more than just
come on the show and have a baby.
You're more than just a guest, but now thanks for being on the show because now we're connected forever, and I'm just really look, I done made a mistake here. There's some comments here that I didn't get a chance to bring. Actually, it's a comment here. I'll put it on the screen, and I guess we just missed up. We just been talking the whole time, but it was just interesting. So I'm sure that could have been any part of the show. That was from Mr. Leon Grove. But in closing, do you have any words of wisdom and encouragement that you like to leave for our audience, as well as how they can connect with you via social media, check out your websites and things that you're doing?
I will just say this. The world needs people who care about what they do, not just in life, but how they show up in what they do. And my hope is that this encourages people to continue to do that, to remain vulnerable. I mean, I jokingly say like walk on water, but I make an enormous amount of mistakes every day. I'm not that I'm keeping track of them, but I know it's a bunch of them. So just remain, vulnerable. But last but not least, being kind and flexible. And if what you're doing is not what you want to do, decide to change it. If what you're doing is what you want to do, continue to practice at it. I don't know. I told you the expert thing is getting to me, so keep practicing. I'm still practicing. And in the words of what's her? Let's go Southwest Airlines. Okay, we know you have many choices when you fly. Thanks for spending some time with me, with you. Obviously, thanks for having me on the show, for allowing me to hear a little bit about my story and background and how I'm trying to conquer the world.
Well, I'd like to thank you for spending this time with us and our audience because, again, you are one of those true heroes that have been here on the show that I think people need to get to know. They need to see the work that you do, and they need to know the work that you are doing, because I think the work that you're doing actually makes an impact on many, many, and several communities in more ways than you can imagine. Because as people get to see people that look like them that are doing positive, prosperous things like you're doing, they may want to do the same thing, but may not know how. But when looking at all the things that you have actually put together, because you're so multifaceted, it really is one of those things that's inspiring and it's motivating, because it says that if you can do this many things that you're doing, that is more than worth trying, but it's worth doing because you're living proof. And that's what we like to see.
And I know we're closing here, but I just want to leave with something. Something you just said. I was talking to a young man in high school a couple weeks back, and he was in a pharmaceutical sales. He was.
I got you.
And he was like, Lee, I have to do this because I'm trying to get my money. And I said, do you know the average income of a drug dealer?
Mm.
You would have to be Pablo Escobar versus the average income of a person who just chooses a different path and gets to keep their freedom. So I hope this encourages somebody to choose a different path. There's money to be made out here. There's opportunities to be had, and there are people that are rooting for you. Who's that? The girl. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. I am rooting for you. I don't know you. If you listen to this, I am rooting for you. I want you to be successful. And if it's a resume review, if it's, hey, I'm looking for career coaching. Hey, I have a thought about this. You asked me for my socials everywhere, Lee Cage Jr. So if you type my name in Google, I mean this humbly, it'll come up. Instagram, Lee Cage Jr. LinkedIn, Lee Cage Jr. Forbes, Lee Cage Jr. Website, Lee Cage Jr. I'm out there, and if you reach out, I will respond, and we can do a 15-minute coffee chat and talk and connect. So,
So I'd like to thank each and every last one of you for watching us tonight. As we have this wonderful special edition, and you see the work that Lee is doing, and I suggest that each and every one of you please reach out to get some tidbits or some tips as to some things that you'd like to do. For those of you that are watching on all of our YouTube channels, especially if you have not yet subscribed and enabled all notifications, please do so and support us in that manner because we definitely would appreciate it. And I am your host, Charles King, and I want to thank you for joining us tonight on American Black and White. You guys have a wonderful weekend. We will see you on Monday for another great week of shows. You guys have a great evening and have a great night. Thanks, Lee.